The excitement of booking a flight, a hotel, it feels completely innocent, right? Well, what if I told you that the very industry that brings us so much joy can also be the perfect cover for some of the world's most dangerous criminals?
It honestly sounds like something straight out of a spy movie, but this is a very real and very clever tactic. So how in the world does a simple travel booking become a tool to clean illegal funds or even finance terrorism? That's the big question we're going to unpack right now.
All right, we're about to pull back the curtain on what looks like the perfectly legitimate world of travel agencies. You'll see how their normal, everyday operations can be expertly twisted and manipulated, turning them into fronts for some really serious financial crime.
So here's the core idea, and it's actually pretty brilliant in a devious way. Criminals use high-priced travel expenses, we're talking first-class tickets, luxury hotel suites, as a way to give a legitimate reason for these huge sums of money to be moving around. It is the perfect way to make dirty cash look like clean business revenue.
Now, this isn't just random or improvised. Criminal organizations literally have a playbook, a set of proven methods to take advantage of the travel industry. So let's break down the three main tactics they use to trick the authorities.
So this playbook, it basically has three main chapters. First up, you've got the refund ruse, which is all about turning cancellations into clean cash. Then there's the installment trick, a really clever way to stay under the financial radar. And finally, the ghost network, which is by far the most sophisticated and ambitious method of them all.
Okay, let's dig into the refund ruse. A normal person, you or me, we buy a ticket, we get on the plane. Simple. But a criminal associate, they'll use dirty cash to buy a very expensive, fully refundable ticket. Then they just cancel it and ask for a refund. And what do they get back? A clean check or a wire transfer from a totally reputable airline. The dirty money is now officially washed.
Next up is the installment trick. You see, banks are required to report large cash transactions. So to get around that, criminals will pay for these expensive travel packages in a bunch of smaller installments. To the bank, they just look like normal payments. But really, they're carefully structured wire transfers, each one just small enough to avoid setting off any alarms.
And that brings us to the most complex method, the ghost network. This is the big one. Here, criminals set up entire fake tour operator networks. They create phony bookings, fake invoices, and all the documentation for tour groups that don't even exist. All of this creates a perfectly legitimate-looking reason to receive huge payments from overseas.
So look, this isn't just theory. Let's look at a pretty shocking real-world case where a travel agency became a direct tool for a terrorist organization. This is where the threat gets incredibly real.
Now, what's absolutely wild about this case is how little it took to get this whole thing started. In 2015, an ISIS-linked travel agency in Indonesia was founded with just $2,800. That's it, a tiny investment for an absolutely terrifying purpose.
And things move so fast. The agency was founded on Bintan Island in Indonesia. Just a few months later, authorities uncovered a plot to attack the Marina Bay Sands luxury hotel in Singapore, and it was being orchestrated through this very agency. By the end of that year, counterterrorism police had moved in and made arrests. This quote from the actual case files says it all, really. The agency had a three-part mission. First, to help terrorists travel safely. Second, to act as a cover for money laundering. And third, to actually make a profit to fund more attacks. It was a complete, self-sustaining criminal enterprise. So, this all leads us to the crucial question, right? What is it about the travel industry that makes it such a perfect and vulnerable target for these kinds of operations? The key concept you need to know here is commingling funds. It's really just a fancy term for the classic money laundering technique of mixing dirty money in with clean, legitimate business revenue. Once it's all mixed together, it becomes almost impossible to tell which dollar came from crime and which came from a real customer. And this is exactly why travel agencies are so perfect for commingling. For starters, they're naturally cash-heavy businesses, which makes it super easy to slip illicit funds into the mix. They also solve logistical nightmares for criminals, planning travel, creating fake identities for bookings, all while hiding payments and ultimately lowering the risk of ever getting caught. So the end game. The whole point of this elaborate scheme is that after all the fake bookings and cash payments and commingling, the criminals get clean wire transfers from world-famous airlines and hotel chains. When that money hits a bank account, it looks completely legit. No red flags go up. Okay, now that we've seen how effective this whole system is, let's boil it all down to the key takeaways. What are the core vulnerabilities that make the travel industry such a prime target? It really comes down to 5 key things that create the perfect storm. They're cash-intensive,
giving an easy way in for dirty money. They offer logistics cover and a way to mask identities. They are tailor-made for commingling funds. And finally, as we're about to see, they're useful across the entire criminal process.
And this is maybe the most important takeaway of all. A travel agency front is not a one-trick pony. It can be used in all three of the official stages of money laundering. You have placement, that's getting the dirty cash into the system. Layering, that's moving it around through all those complex bookings and refunds. And integration, that's when the clean money comes back to the criminal. This method covers the whole shebang.